Oi!
Are you living your best life? Too scary. Forget I said that. Vibes. Call of the Night is beautiful. The opening shot pans up and you're hit with an incredible look at the world of this anime. The night sky painted in these vibrant purples and greens. It perfectly visualizes how I've always felt about going out at night. Watching that alongside the glowing backdrops from a dense city like Tokyo, my ADHD ass can't look away from this. You know what else? It has excellently flawed characters that explore who they are with conviction, and a relationship I would have died to have at 14. Growing up, I dreamed about girls I was into just coming to my window. This is a very non-traditional relationship, and that's before the vampire part. She could be 40, by the way. Did you know sucking blood is like having sex for her? Who let this kid buy so much beer? What the fuck? I like this anime. If you haven't seen Call of the Night, I'm gonna keep this as spoiler-free as I can. This is a different kind of vampire story. Our 14-year-old protag, Ko, burns out on life a bit early, drops the whole school thing, and begins to wander the streets at night. He just doesn't realize he has ADHD yet. I'll get to that. This is Japan, so low safety concern. But then, vampire. Questionable safety concern? Well, yes, but not for the usual reasons. Nazuna is this 10 of undead vampire's name, and she works as a cuddle buddy in her spare time. You can see where this is going. After chatting up the kid, she faces no real resistance when inviting him to her apartment. Nazuna then waits for the young, naive Ko to drift off to sleep.
Itadakimasu.
Oh, you also have to be in love with the one doing the blood fuck to be turned into a vampire. Both a plot mechanic that unleashes a new burning desire inside of Ko, and a clever way to deal with some long-term suck.
これは僕が吸血鬼に恋をするための物語だ。
Alright, now that we got all that introduction stuff out of the way, provocatively aged human-vampire relationship antics just scratches the surface here. The less you touch grass, the more you should watch this, and then touch some damn grass.
Bruh.
Real life is messy. Experiencing a few or more things you probably shouldn't helps to understand who you are. When was the first time you went to a concert, tried drugs, or started getting into a niche hobby? The things you do and engage with are going to creep into your lifestyle and change the way you live. When Ko makes his choice to fall in love with Nazuna, he's dipping his toes into the idea of an alternative lifestyle. Call of the Night takes this idea and presents it through the lens of becoming a vampire. That's what's underneath all the silly pre-romantic teasing and questionable relationship interactions. Exploring yourself, your true self, is what every character in this anime is attempting or struggling to do. And to do that, you gotta find out just as much about who you aren't. There's only one way to do that: experience it. But if getting your blood sucked by a vampire doesn't turn you into one until you fall in love with them, we got some free time on our hands. 1 year, actually. This one is the sneakiest of themes, masquerading as a simple plot device. Here's why. Nazuna is already living the vampire life. Ko gets to see and experience it firsthand. He's experimenting with adopting this lifestyle for himself, and if it doesn't look like it's going to work out, that's called knowing when to quit. I'm bad at that. Please subscribe. Breaking down the characters and what goes on in this anime, everyone acts like a group of friends who look out for Ko and want him to be happy. Akira and Mahiru are his close friends. You see them walk two paths in response to learning about Ko's secret vampire activities. Akira takes the cautious approach, learning about vampires from Ko but not engaging herself. It might feel strange to see her meeting Ko at 4 a.m. after he vanished from school without a trace, then watching how she just wants to hang out and seemingly ignores most of that. She's the person who's always just accepted him for who he was. Not human, or potentially vampire, just Ko. I think we all need an Akira in our life at times. Mahiru is the curious friend who might end up on the receiving end of a little bloody sucky from time to time, but isn't concerned with this whole turning into a vampire thing. He just wants to hang out with hot girls. A good close friend will explore the things you're into with you, just because they're your friend. Or you can decide to step outside that bubble with new friends and watch how everyone engages in things a little bit differently, like being a femboy as a subtle way to show how horny you are. This is Hatsuka, and he doesn't really care much about the whole making vampire offspring thing, but if looking feminine will get him more blood, who he seduces doesn't matter. The fuckboy femboy method. This one's the virgin hunter. She likes working at a maid cafe to meet lonely otaku to suck. That's the thing most of the vampires share in common. Indulging in this power dynamic that comes with knowing someone is into you, speaking in a way that tugs at them, watching how they react. Basically, what I'm getting at is the vampires are kind of like all the different people you're gonna meet and maybe date in your life, and how things might be a wildly different experience each time for reasons entirely out of your control. So you might as well get to know what those things are, so you can be confident about knowing if that's how you want to live your life. Doing certain things your own way because that's what works best for you is how we all adapt. Except when you don't. I haven't even mentioned my favorite character in this anime yet. Anko, private detective and vampire hunter. I can't say much without spoiling why, but Anko instantly shot up my ranks for incredibly badass anime women. Knowing more about vampires than they know about themselves is her game, and pure conviction in her actions is one of the many reasons she caught my attention. Antagonists who are ideological are the only ones worth a damn. Anko is what happens when you commit to a lifestyle that doesn't work for you. Killing vampires is hard, and at the end of the day, Anko is a puny human who occasionally likes to employ the JoJo method of fighting. She has unparalleled instinct and patience, but knows exposing vampires is really the only thing she can do at scale, an attempt to starve them out after someone investigates what she hopes is her inevitable death. But deep down, she understands that just won't be practical. Fuck what's practical. She goes through with it anyway. Anko's Halloween run is legendary. Watch it yourself. Remember that ADHD thing I said earlier? This is just my personal take, but I think if you know you have it, you can see aspects of it in this kid. Ko is an extreme night owl, likes to engage in high-risk behavior, and basically only thinks about what he's interested in. The night he meets Nazuna is like him first coming to realize that there exists a way to function despite feeling so different. Because this girl is basically ADHD incarnate. When Ko starts walking outside in the night, feeling burnt out from what everyone else seems to do without issue, it's the first step to understanding he is a bit different. And being different is the core idea repeated by everyone around him. The funny thing is, Ko really isn't that different. Certain things are just more socially apparent. He's actually way more social than anyone gives him credit for. This kid is constantly mediating conflicts between people twice his age and seemingly half the communication skills. But push aside the actual plot, coming to love Nazuna is like Ko coming to understand and eventually accept this part of himself. Something about the normal world just doesn't work for him, and this new way of living is a chance to explore what might. NTR, baby. We're not getting cucked today though, don't worry. A very non-traditional relationship is an interesting way to add to this whole dynamic because it's a fundamentally simple way of understanding that a lifestyle which works perfectly for one person, you probably think is weird. Like really weird. That's fine. This isn't real life, so I'm not going to care about whether doing all this is actually good for the kid, because it doesn't matter what's good for him. He's not real. The experiences in life that instill you with confidence about your personality and character don't usually come from the things you're supposed to be doing. All of the edge cases in life are what makes us who we are at the end of the day. That's what makes us interesting. Aside from Ko, obviously, the characters in Call of the Night are all people who know themselves. They've made conscious choices about how they're going to live their own life and are willing to accept the consequences that come with that. For Nazuna, who she is at any moment other than the present one doesn't matter to her. Working as a maid, running a back alley massage parlor from her apartment, she indulges in anything she's able to and leaves the past where it belongs. Just a free spirit who gets a little lonely sometimes. Because even when you're 100% comfortable with who you are, other people are what actually makes life interesting. There's one other thing about Nazuna. At the beginning of the anime, when she first meets Ko, she mentions a little something to him. The idea that people stay up late because they aren't satisfied with how they spent their day. Dear viewer, I proposed a similar question to you at the beginning of this video, and now that you've gained a bit more perspective on what I meant by it, I don't want you to forget about it. But you do you. I'm still waiting on the vampire part. Now get the hell out of here and live a little. I'll see you next time. Thanks for watching.